Hey, it's Mike from the Life In Attleboro Podcast. I want to tell you about a special offer from our sponsor, Confidence Fitness, that just got even better. Their Black Friday deal is underway right now, and it lasts until December 31st, only for Life In Attleboro members. I've recently told you about their 2-week Jumpstart program for $99. Well, now it's only $59. Here's what you get. 6 small group personal training sessions so you can start building strength and muscle. You'll get their food and mood journal to get you thinking about what foods to eat and how they impact your body and mind. And you'll get an in-body scan to measure your current body composition. If you've been thinking about getting in better shape physically and mentally, now is the time to take action. This $59 investment can be a game changer for you. All you have to do is go to lifeinattleboro.com and you'll see the link right there on the homepage. I'll also include the link in the show notes of this episode. Confidence Fitness is located at 453 South Main Street. Confidence Fitness. Strength for life, strength for sports. And now, on to the show. You are listening to the Life in Attleboro Podcast, where we interview the city's most interesting people who are making a positive difference in our community. Hey everyone, I'm the host of the Life in Attleboro Podcast, Mike Sullivan. Today's episode is about one aspect of our city's future, and a very important one at that. I spoke with Mike Davis. He's the chair and secretary of the city's Sustainability Commission. What's that, you ask? You're about to find out in episode 28 of the Life in Attleboro podcast. All right, joining me now is Mike Davis. Mike is the chair and secretary of the city's Sustainability Commission. Mike, thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
I appreciate you inviting me.
It's my pleasure, sir. So first question, an easy one. What is the Sustainability Commission all about?
It's an easy question, but it's probably a difficult one to explain because you could ask 10 people what sustainability actually means, and it turns out you're going to get 10 different answers.
Okay.
Easy question, a little harder to define. But what the commission is all about is to install a sense of sustainability and resilience in the city of Attleboro, which is really touches almost every point, every part of the city government and its residents. It is the newest commission on board. It is only about 9 months old at this point. Okay. It took a long time to get there. But we're charged with researching and making recommendations to the mayor and the city council on how to be more sustainable and to improve our resiliency to things. And we'll probably get into really what the definition of sustainability is in a bit. But basically, being more environmentally and economically sustainable means basically living within our means, that we use what we can replenish. If you are using more than what you can replenish, then that by definition is unsustainable. So it's not, it could be environmental and it could be economic in sustainability, but that's what this commission is all about. The U.S. currently consumes about 3 times what it can replenish. Those are science facts, and we just can't continue to be doing that. And we're now seeing the repercussions of not doing it correctly.
Yeah, Mike, quick question. How many members are there in the commission?
There are 9 members, okay, voting members, and we're looking to actually add a city councilor to the team, which would be a 10th member, a non-voting member at that case, but to get the city council a little bit more integrated with what we're doing and how we're proceeding. Those 9 people really come from a lot of different backgrounds. We've got insurance people, we've got municipal accountants, we've got engineers, everyone's got a different background. What's interesting about them is that every one of us, all 9 of us, have a passion for things sustainable and in doing things correctly in terms of protecting the environment.
I'm glad you mentioned the different backgrounds because I was actually just going to ask you, what is your background? Why did you have an interest in leading this commission?
Sure. That goes back many decades. When I was in high school, actually, myself and one of my best friends, who still is my best friend, we started an environmental group. This is before the first Earth Day.
Oh, wow.
When we were in high school. And so within 2 years, we had literally a couple of thousand people would attend some of our events, like biking events and litter cleanups and canal cleanups and things like that. So that kind of got me started in thinking that this is important. So when I went to school, I ended up getting a degree in biology and chemistry and education. And when I went and I taught environmental science, I taught biology and chemistry, and then went off and got a master's in public health. That degree has an awful lot to do with, I was involved with a Superfund site up in Woburn, Mass. And that was a 7-year thesis. It was just, I was in with both feet on that one.
Yeah.
That's while having a family at the same time. And then ended up moving down here to Attleboro, got involved with politics. I was a city councilor for a few years. And now, ever since then, I've left on my own accord, but ever since then, I've been involved with doing a bunch of different committees and commissions and boards and things like that. And so I volunteer for a lot of service organizations. And then probably the thing that ties the commission to today's commission with that history is that the former mayor, Paul Heroux, had asked if I would lead a group to create an environmental master plan for the city of Attleboro. Mm-hmm. That's what I did. We got 8 members of people who have got really strong environmental backgrounds like myself, and we developed the environmental master plan for the city of Attleboro, and that is on the municipal website. So you can actually look up those words, Attleboro Environmental Master Plan, and you can see what became the strategy for this. The very first thing we wanted to do is not just simply have a strategy, but also have a tactical plan. So that tactical plan, the first thing to do was to create a sustainability commission.
Gotcha.
So that's what we did. We asked the mayor asked the city council to create a sustainability commission. And that came about it was finally approved by the city council this time last year. And the members were invited by the mayor and confirmed by the city council in February. How did this sustainability get started and what's the connection with it? It's a long road, like I said.
Yeah.
But we're finally up and running, and we've been meeting for about 9 months now.
Thank you for your service to the city. And it seems like you've always had kind of perspective on the big picture on sustainability itself. So, Mike, what is sustainability and why is it important specifically to the citizens of Attleboro?
Sure. Good question. It's a very conservative kind of thinking, right?
Yeah.
It is, you only use what you can replenish. It's critical, not just for citizens of Attleboro and the residents of Attleboro to follow sustainability. It won't work if we just do it. It has to be a global event. However, our sustainability commission, and no sustainability commission in any community, is going to be successful if they don't do it and they're expecting somebody else to do it. So it has the same global implications as it does for the city residents. So that was what our job is. We're going to be thinking about the global aspect of this, but we're going to be acting locally. And that phraseology is very cliche, but it's very applicable here. So that's what we're going to try to do. That's what we've been trying to do, is try to impart on people how they can be more sustainable going off into the future.
Excellent. So as I was preparing for our discussion today, I was poking around on the website, and one of the commission's duties is to, quote, advise the mayor regarding environmental challenges and opportunities throughout the city on various matters, including, but not limited to, energy conservation, water conservation, health waste disposal, recycling, and energy efficiency. The one that jumps out at me right now because of our current situation is the water conservation part. I think a lot of people know we are under a water emergency and crisis in the city right now. So does the Sustainability Commission have a role in trying to end this water emergency? What can you add on that part?
The problem, of course, is that we're dealing with a problem that is now a problem. We're hoping from a sustainability point of view is that we treat these things before they become an emergency. Now we have an emergency. And we had 2 emergencies this year. If you recall, last spring, there were quite a number of businesses and homes that ended up being flooded.
Yes.
And then now that's being followed up with a record-breaking drought. Those are the key signs of what climate change is all about, is when you have extremes. You just can't have 2 1,000-year storms hit within 2 weeks in Florida, as it did this year. And that ended up costing around $60 billion to fix. What we have to do is anticipate these things. And that's where the Sustainability Commission is hopefully going to be playing a better role. we're not in any position to go and deal with the emergency. We can help with that, though. One of our pillars that we created a series of 6 pillars that the members follow as our guideline. And one of those pillars is education. And we think we can play a role in helping the education part of this. And so that's what we've been doing. So we will be tomorrow morning. We'll be at the farmers market, for example, at La Salette. Yep. We're going to be talking about solar panels, and we're going to be talking about conservation of water. The city is doing, I think, a pretty good job right now of telling people these are the things where we can cut back. And we have cut back in terms of the amount of water that we're using. But we now have a Facebook. If anybody wants to go and search for it, the Attleboro Sustainability Commission Facebook. We've got a little over 100 followers at this point, and we're talking about how you can conserve water using rain barrels and things like that. There's really quite a number of things that we can do. And so that's where I think is probably the commission's biggest help is going to be in assisting the city in educating its public. But I got to say, I think our more important role is actually to start advising these actions before they become expensive, before they're an emergency, before we have to fix the darn thing. Yeah. That's the cheapest way to actually handle these things.
Excellent. I'll make sure, Mike, to include the link to the Facebook page in the show notes of this episode, so our listeners can just follow along right from there. So you just mentioned this, but what kind of things is the commission working on right now?
We actually had a meeting last night. Okay. We meet on the first and third Thursdays of every month. And we were actually having this conversation about how do we think we're doing 9 months in. And I think to a person, we're pretty darn proud of the numbers of things who gets things going in 9 months that actually might have some sort of an impact. So we're very happy with our progress. So to your question, what are we working on right now? A lot of what we're working on depends very much on how we've structured the commission. So as the chair, I had recommended that we follow the environmental master plan, which has 6 pillars. In our community is quite different than a lot of other communities. A lot of other communities have sustainability, quote unquote, teams, and they're dealing with things like climate change or energy, fossil fuel reduction, things like that. In Attleboro, our environmental master plan is far broader than that. It covers a lot more territory. So we have 6 pillars that we think that where Attleboro could gain an advantage. And those pillars are sustainable growth, water security, conservation, renewable energy, waste reduction, and education. Okay. So those are the pillars that we follow. And each member of the commission, there are 6 members of the commission who lead one of those pillars.
Gotcha.
And so they go and they pick the projects from a list of about 200 projects that we've worked on, that we've brainstormed, and start to work on them. So to your question, what things have we already done? We've established the commission. We've established our bylaws. We've established our rules. We've established the meetings and the way the meetings are going to be held and where they're going to be held. And in addition to that, we've actually started and finished a couple of our projects. I'll remind you that our job is not to actually execute anything. We don't have any of that power. Okay. The city ordinance doesn't say that our job, like the planning board, is to vote to approve or disapprove a development project, or conservation commission is somebody comes to the conservation commission and their job is to determine whether or not they're following the rules for wetlands, for example. Mm-hmm. Our charter is to just make recommendations, and hopefully the city council or the mayor will listen to those recommendations and then follow through. But we've already established several things that we're in the process, and I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them that's pretty exciting is that we wrote the recommendations to initiate food composting in the city. So we've been connected with the Black Earth composting company that comes around. Now they're partnered with the city, basically, because we helped to get that partnership going. And they are now going around, I think there's 67 customers right now that they come around and they pick up their food scraps. By the way, I'll tell you, is probably the biggest thing a citizen can do. It's an amazing return on investment. You're going to tell you a fact that we just learned last night, that Black Earth Composting has got, I told you, 65, 67 customers. In the 2 months that they've been there, they've collected already 7,500 pounds of food waste.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. The fact is that almost is unbelievable is that the fact is that 30% of all food is wasted, which means 30% of pesticide is wasted, 50% of fertilizer is wasted, which means 50% of all energy that is produced in order to be able to heat and pasteurize, and all of that is wasted. So it's an amazing hit to do something which sounds awfully simple, is to simply compost your food. So I've got composting bins in my yard, and I got those down at the recycling center for $35 each. And I use that. We throw no food out. It's just, it all goes in the compost, with the exception of meat and bones and things like that, which would be a problem. So anyway, so one of the composting things, that's one thing we did. We helped initiate Black Earth composting in the city. And then we introduced the idea to the high school. And we said, hey, what do you think about this? They immediately took us up on it. And now we're helping them install food composting program at the high school. Wow. So they're going to start at the bistro. And the idea here is, it's really cool. The environmental science is a CTE, that's their some people might refer to them as vocational school, but the CTE program, they've got a class in there of which I'm an advisor for the environmental science group. They are going to be teaching the bistro chefs on how to do the composting. Oh, cool. And they're going to do the composting at the high school. So they've already got rotators, and they're going to start to produce that. And then they're going to take that compost and put it into community gardens right on site at the high school. So they just got a grant to create a freight farm where they're growing the food that's going to go into the community garden that will eventually be used in the bistro as well as the cafeteria.
Wow, that's cool.
So they're all excited about this. And so that's due to start, I don't know, like moments it's a week or two or something like that. So they're going to be doing that. The high school is also interested in helping produce a newsletter, a sustainability newsletter. Nice. So we've got the marketing group and the environmental science teams. This actually meets with some of their guidelines of things that they have to do. Gotcha. And so they're agreeing to do that, which is great. Another thing that we've initiated is for Attleboro to become what is called the Tree City USA status. Okay. And that allows us to apply for grants for trees to reduce heat sinks and things like that. And I think we're going to be, quite likely the Parks Department is going to be putting the application in before the end of the year. We'll get the designation and that'll qualify us for then getting grants for signage and things like that. And so Attleboro will become a Tree City USA partner. Very nice. We're encouraging and have written all the recommendations to create biking downtown. We've come up with several alternative plans to do more bike parking areas, these places where you can lock up your bike. And now we're looking for funding, and we think we may actually even have a source for funding. It's $2,000 or $3,000 to get a half a dozen of these bike parkings. Try to get more people to bike around as opposed to car around. And we're even working with local businesses on how they can become more sustainable. Great. So there is a business that is local. It's been around for 3 generations called the Reeves Company. They're a name pin company. They're very family oriented. They have around 20, 25 employees. They've been around for a very long time. And it's amazing the amount of things that they're doing in their business. And we're now consulting with them as to other things that they can do so that they can actually get ranking. I don't know if you're familiar with ESG, environment, social, and governance. It's a ranking that tells a company tells investors just how sustainable you are. So we just completed a program with them to get their ranking. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of things that we've been working on for 9 months and have accomplished.
Congratulations to you and the commission. That's a lot of early wins that you guys are just stacking upon each other. So excellent start, Mike.
It's great.
So you touched on what listeners can do to be more sustainable with not wasting our food. But what other ways can we, the people of Attleboro, what can we do to be more sustainable? Just our little parts that can add up very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of things. If you were to go on to the Attleboro Sustainability Commission website, is a bunch of recommendations. We've got a series of around 200, and we're still growing it. Recommendations that people, we've actually broken the field out so that if you are a person, an individual, or at a home, if you're a business, if you're a school, or if you're the municipality, we've got a series of things that you can do so I recommend somebody to just scan that, because what we've discovered is if given the choice between doing something sustainable and doing something not sustainable, people typically will, if they know what is sustainable, they will always choose the sustainable. Okay. And that's actually proven that people are going to be buying from producers and businesses that actually say, there's a reason why they say they want to be green or they are green, is because people will actually buy into that area. So we're hoping that people learn more about what they can do. There's quite a number of things that I could go into, but I won't. Yeah. We don't have the day to do this. But I would recommend going online, and my email is in there. If anybody's interested in having a further conversation about it, happy to do that as well. Excellent. Yeah, check out the website and follow us on Facebook, which would be great because we're always putting new ideas out for people to think about. And we're going to be looking for people to help us support us at hearings, for example, at the city council level. These are all very small things that people can do if they're properly motivated. Sure.
So if anyone's interested in attending one of the Sustainability Commission's meetings, what should they know? Are they open to the public?
Oh, yeah. This is an official municipal organization. So like all of them, they're open to the public. So Great. We post the meetings with the city clerk, but our website, again, has all the information in there. We meet on the first and third Thursdays of every month, and we meet at the library. So it's nice and easy. We've had a whole bunch of guests. We've had people who I've never met before that have just learned about it, and they came in and just wanted to hear what we were doing. I always open up the meetings with, if there is a guest, what is your concern? What do you want us to know, type of thing. So that if they decided not to stay too long, they've gotten their input in and they can leave. But we've also had the state rep, Jim Hawkins, has been to a couple of our meetings. Ty Waterman has been to a few of our meetings. So there are people out there that are interested in this. Always happy to have people come in, and always happy to have people say, gee, what else can I do? How can I help you?
Of course. Great ideas come from everyone. Mike, is there anything else that you'd like the people of Attleboro to know that we haven't talked about yet?
How about that segue of volunteers? Tomorrow we're going to be at the farmers market. It would be great. And we're going to be at the farmers market every month, one day a month. And they're going to be, the dates are going to be pretty clear from the marketers. Okay. And so when we're there, we're looking for people. We don't need any more. We've got a full 9 on the commission right now. But what we can use is help with doing research, help with making connections and things like that. So we're looking to beef up our volunteer group and how it is that they may be able to help us in the future. And they would qualify to be able to be on our newsletter list. I just want to make sure that that's something that's important. And I think that if we build that group of folks that are really passionate about this, I think that we're going to be even making more strides. So the only other thing, just be more engaged. We are going to have more droughts. We are going to have more floods. We are going to have record temperatures and no snow like we haven't had for the last 2 years, even though this flurry we got this past weekend. Sure. So I think people have just got to be more engaged, because it's way too expensive to deal with the problem after it's become an emergency. We're seeing that right now with the drought.
Really good information. Mike Davis, Chair and Secretary of the city's Sustainability Commission. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast. I learned a ton, so thank you so much, Mike.
I appreciate the offer of being here.
I learned a lot during my conversation with Mike, and I hope you did too. If you'd like to learn more about our city's Sustainability Commission, you can find the link to their Facebook page in the show notes of this episode. Hey, I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Hoban Accounting Services. If you're a small business owner, you know how much of a hassle it can be to keep track of every penny earned and every penny spent. But thankfully, Hoban Accounting Services is on a mission to heal your headaches and fizzle your frustration when it comes to crunching those pesky numbers. Hoban Accounting Services has helped local businesses for more than 7 years. That's when Nicole Hoban, a proud mother of twin girls, launched her business. She's a QuickBooks Pro Advisor with tons of awards to her name. If you mention the Life in Attleboro podcast, you'll get 10% off for your first 6 months. If you'd like to support a small business owner in our city, just tap the link in the show notes of this episode and Nicole will be in touch. Hoban Accounting Services. A great bookkeeper should be an asset, not an expense. More than 600 people have signed up for the Life in Attleboro email list. Are you one of them? If not, you're missing out on exclusive benefits, including early access to every new podcast episode, special savings at Attleboro restaurants and businesses, behind-the-scenes videos and insight, and you'll stay in the know about cool events in our great city. Just go to lifeinattleboro.com, and you'll see the sign-up display right there on the homepage. And if you know someone who would make a great guest on our podcast, please shoot us an email at lifeinattleboro@gmail.com. That's it for today. Life in Attleboro is a great thing. Support our community, promote positivity, and make a stranger smile. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast.